is the story of how my dad almost killed me. I'm gonna try to get through this one without crying because I feel like no matter how many years have passed, I'm not particularly sure if I am emotionally equipped to still tell it and keep a straight face.
This lady shared a story of how her dad almost unalive her, how her mom still decides to stay in an abusive relationship abusive relationship, and how when mothers stay in an abusive relationship affect the children, affect so many things. Because most of the time women that stays in abusive relationship, they always say that they stay there because of children. I'm still here because of my children, but then your children are suffering or you're putting your children in danger. Because if a mom had left the father while it was being abusive and all of that, this wouldn't have happened. The story so sad to for her to have gone through something like that, because the father, will I say, is a monster? Anyways, let me go ahead and roll the clip for you all to watch today. It's a long story and I'm going to watch it together, of course, and I'm going to share my thoughts at the end of the video.
You guys really need to follow my story times though, because in one of my earlier story times I'd shared how my home was very uncomfortable for me. My dad has always been abusive. He has always been, like, the first time I witnessed abuse with my own eyes was by my dad. Our home was very, very unsafe, both for us, both for the wife, the kids. It was just every danger that had come into my life in my growing up years came from my dad's side. Now, did he pay fees? Yes. Did we have a good financial life? Yes. And I feel like that's one of the things that is common in African homes. It's that thing where they feel like, oh, if you're provided for, if you're fed, if you wear good clothes, what are you complaining about? He has done the best that he possibly can. But I feel like there's the part of, emotional turmoil that people don't like to discuss, especially Africans. And it is because if they pretend it did not happen, then maybe they would believe that it didn't happen. So I remember this fateful day. I already have massive PTSD, by the way, because in our house, anything can spark a fight. Anything can spark a fight. So I'm always, even when I sleep, once I hear the smallest sounds outside, my heart starts to race fast, and I'm all of a sudden very scared and afraid. And I remember this particular day, I was in my room, in my wrapper. My brother comes and he says, Mommy and Daddy are arguing. I was like, is this serious? He was like, yes, it is. I didn't even wear my clothes. I just started wrapper because I thought it was just going to be a quick, in and out. So I got there, and what is this argument about? The most rubbish thing ever. Oh, my sister, because I have a half sister on my dad's side. So it was like, my mom, And my dad puts expectations on people that he is not willing to fulfill himself. Now, is this story about me trying to demonize him? No, but one thing about me, I'm going to call out bad behavior. Like, I'm the kind of person that I will stand. If I'm the only one, then let me be the only one. But if something is not right, I'm going to say it's not right. So in that situation, I just try to mitigate, and mediate between the both of them. At this point, my mom trying to just dead everything because, bro, she's old now. She goes on her knees and she begs and she says, oh, I'm sorry that this thing's happened. I was like, okay, Daddy, she has said she's sorry. And she's still on her knees at this point saying sorry to this man. And I don't know if he wanted to be cuddled more, but he was not agreeing to the sorry. What is going on? I said, she has said sorry now. He still wanted to go back to the issue, talking about it and whatnot. At this point, I was irritated, and I cannot hide when I'm irritated on my face. And so I look at my mom. I was like, stand up. Since he does not want to cuckoo hear the sorry, stand up. And my dad becomes livid. The next thing I see is we have these little ceramic jars on the table that have they are containers for like salt, sugar, and pepper. Little cute. It's like an Egyptian porcelain set. The next thing I just knew was it was flying by the side of my face like this and hitting the wall and literally smashing. And at this point in time, I knew it was go time. I knew it was war time because I had dreams of these days, like the days where I would get to stand up to this man and be like, bro, what is it? You are like, the oppression is too much. Like, what is it? And this was that day for me. And so I go trying to look for my own weapon because I'm not going to go down without a fight. I don't care what anybody has to say about me, because bro, the amount of danger that this man has put me in, I was not having it. I was like, I'm gonna go get my own weapon and I'm gonna fight. Like, whatever happens to me, you might be stronger because you're a man, but you will not go without me putting injury on your body. Like, next time, if you see woman where you talk say you won't beat, you go think twice. My mom is trying to hold my dad, and my brother is trying to hold me away from this situation. Only for me to notice that he had turned his aggression on my mom and wanted to stab. I was like, we're not going back to Egypt, bro. We're not going back to Egypt. Like, that, this situation is not gonna happen again. When I found out that he was trying to, like, because he was already doing this, like, she was holding him by the waist and he was literally using his elbow to, like, inflict pain on her back, I was like, no, fam. And so I go towards the kitchen. I think I was looking for like a knife or something. Guys, at this point, I was irate. Like, I was not even seeing clear road. I was like, somebody's going to die in this house today because we're tired. Like, everybody has their breaking point, and this was mine for me because I was so God, even now like, I'm still not okay. So of course he pushes my mom to the side when he saw that I was lunging for him, and my brother was like, no, just go outside. And so I go outside. I was trying to open the gate to just leave. Mind you, I was still in wrapper. This man comes at me. We have this big stone, guys. It's a boulder that we put to hold the zinc on the gen house so that when rain falls, water doesn't get into the gen house. This man carries it and was going to throw it at me. Now, from the way I sized up this thing, I knew that there was no way I could miss him throwing it, because the fact that I could lift it alone was already a disadvantage for me. I was like, there was no way I could escape him if he threw it at me. It's gonna either hurt my leg or it's gonna hit me somewhere that would be really fatal. Like, this man wanted to end my life. By the mercy of God, somehow he tripped and fell while trying to throw that thing away. Did he stay down? No. Instead, he picked up, we have coconut trees in our house, he picked up the unshelled coconut, threw it at me, literally hit my side, and the pain, because my body is literally soft, literally, like, the pain was unbearable. The next thing I'm seeing was I was on the floor, and this man was pulling me. I had long braids, was pulling me on the floor by my braids. We had started this building project in our house, so we had gravel all over the floor, and as he was pulling me, my wrapper came undone. I was on the ground naked, all my boobs outside, everything outside. I had never felt as dehumanized as I felt in this particular moment before. So I'm on the floor being dragged by my braids, and I'm trying to hold my braids so that it doesn't yank my hair off, the braids off my hair, because, like, I was gonna die this day. Like, I had to hold it, and my clothes had come undone, the gravels had torn my sides, and I didn't even know this until when everything had subsided and I saw that my legs were bleeding. Like, I had deep cuts from where the gravel had entered my body, because imagine me with all my weight on the floor and pulling me through little stones on the floor. It was a nightmare. It was giving Passion of the Christ. The next thing, this man is on me with my naked body on me and was literally choking me, like, held me by the throat and was choking me. And I remember my brother coming to hold his hand and was like, Daddy, remember God. My mind had just been like, well, today I die. So here he was choking me and I could not literally breathe. And I remember that my hand was, like when someone is choking you, your survival instincts kicking. And my hand is literally in his face, just trying to, when you're frantically trying to find a way to a weakness so that you could breathe. And I remember that my hand was going into his nose, his mouth, because it was messy. I was on the floor. This man was sitting on my boobs. God, this video is getting too long. What's to part 2? And for us as kids, we would rather say to ourselves, oh, my dad was just correcting me. Oh, he was just taking care of us. That's why. Because you, as a child who is vulnerable, you don't want to believe that the one person who is supposed to take care of you and protect you from danger is the one inflicting danger on you. My brother was holding him and was like, Daddy, just remember God, remember God, remember God. And my daddy was like, this man was a freaking monster. And it wasn't shocking because he had done this before. I remember that growing up, one of the most graphic things that I could never remember was my father holding my mother's head over the gutter like a chicken and put a knife to her neck. And literally, she was bleeding. Like, if you can do this to your wife, who can't you do it to? So looking at me now in that situation, I saw myself and I was like, This is why I had terrible choices in men, because I never had a good example. Like, I never had a normal childhood, guys. I never had a childhood that I could look at and be like, oh, when I see people and their relationships with their dads, I'm like, oh, I wish I had that. But I didn't have it. In fact, our relationship with our dad was very transactional. I never felt like it was love. It was always performance. Like, that was one of the reasons why I was always doing the most daring things, like trying to always be top of the class, because that's the only way you can get approval. And as a child, the love from your parents is all you need. At this point, I had broken free from that. I could care less whether he thought I was a good child or not. I could care less whether because I never thought I should have to work to earn the affection of my parents. Instead, it should be like they already loved me, so I did well because I was already loved. And it's almost like me trying to say thank you for loving me over the years. That was never the case. So this man was literally on my breast and was literally choking me, and my brother was holding him and was like, daddy, please, remember God, before this man stood up. And as he stood up, still kicked me in the head before he walked away. The next thing I'm hearing him say, just pack out of my house, leave my house, leave my house. I told my brother to get me my phone, and I called the guy I was dating at the time to come get me. This man left me sitting outside. I was sitting down, with dust all over my face, my legs were bleeding, different things like that. Before I had the opportunity to do anything, because obviously my friends came, he told my brother to go and buy Ghana Must Go. He put everything inside the Ghana Must Go and just threw it out of the house. So the guy I was seeing at the time carried it and took it to where he was. So that's where I was. Only for my mom to be calling me and was like, hey, I should just come back, I should just come back and beg him. Like, beg him? If you had stood up for yourself in the first place, your children would not be in a situation where they would have to defend you or themselves from this man. You had done what you ought to do in the first place. There will be no reason for your children to come and be like mediating between you when people are having conversations. Are we even supposed to know when people are fighting? Are we supposed to even know any of this? Like, where is the health that you people kept for us in this family, where we could grow up without our head being screwed? Like, we were not okay here. We were not. This man had called all his village people to tell them that I had attacked him. I had attacked him. Someone that sent stuff flying over my face. He was like, I had attacked him. When my mom had called, she was like, and he was actually bleeding. I'm like, you have just got to be kidding me. He was bleeding, that his nose was bleeding. So I'm guessing that in the process of me, when he was choking me and I was trying to, because I said my hands were going into his nose, his mouth and everything. I think obviously my nail had cut him. Your nose is very sensitive. Obviously, if you don't have catarrh and you blow your nose one kind, it can bleed. Do you understand? Soft tissues in there everywhere. So I think it might have cut him somewhere. But it wasn't like I punched him in the face. Neither did I have the strength to punch him in the face. With everything, this man still overpowered me. I was choking. And you, because you are still trying to save this toxic marriage that does not even count for anything, you are willing to discard your kids. Like, see, there's a reason why I feel like my mom's relationship and mine is a little strained. I have love for everybody, but it's strained because I just hate cowards more than anything in my life. I hate cowards. I hate people who cannot stand for the right thing. I hate people who cannot say this is what happened and defend it. Like, even if the society comes for you, stand on the truth. Stand on the truth, right? How can you be telling me that, oh, he was bleeding? What about me? I still have the scars on my laps from that cut. This man was the aggressor. And yet somehow you are making this my issue. You are making this my fault. I ended up coming back to the house, obviously. And over the next couple of days, his people were calling me and was like, regardless of what happens, that's your father. You should not do that. I was like, no, it's like I'm dreaming. Like, guys, it felt like I could not escape, because at this point, I just knew that it was every man for himself. Because, bro, like, people would literally see you murder somebody, but because you are a parent, they will say, oh, because you are a parent, right, you don't deserve, like, you are right and your child is wrong. And so everybody was calling me, and I made sure to give them back hot. Like, me, I told myself at that point in time, like, I did not have anybody protect me, but I am not a weakling anymore. I'm not a child anymore. So I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm going to defend myself. Like, you don't discipline an adult. You talk to them. You give them words of counsel, of advice. That's how you engage with people who are now adults. not put your hands on people. So I'm like, so you would pull your child, your grown-up daughter, naked on the floor just to prove a point that what, you are a man, that you have balls? Is that what it is? And I made sure I gave it to all of them back, and I was just blocking. If they called me, I'll cut and block. Like, I don't want to speak to any of you. I don't want to talk to any of you. And that was the day I said to myself, I'm leaving this house. I cannot stay here any longer. And somehow, by God's almighty grace, I ended up finding a way, to leave. And this man slandered me. Oh, she's out there doing, runs. She be that it was like he would never collect a dime from me. I never offered him a dime, by the way. And he would never collect a dime from me because I'm out there doing runs and prostitution. And all these things I didn't even find out until later, because who was he saying all these things to? My traitorous mother, who never thought it was okay to defend me. But then I thought to myself, like, what was I really expecting? This woman watched his brother literally sexually assault me for a long time. And what did they do? She agreed to coming back into that unsafe situation because she's trying to save some type of useless marriage. I'm like, bro, I will go to war for my kids. Like, I cannot suffer and born kids into this world, and you think that you will put harm on them without going through me. Like, I am a one-man army. Like, I don't care if nobody is standing by my side. I'm going to stand and defend those kids, because I've known what it feels like to be hopeless, where you don't have a voice, you don't have a say, and all these people are constantly just inflicting different types of psychological damage on you. And I just have to say that if not for God, how would I have healed? How would I have known what it feels like to expect healthy love? Anyway, he ended up having a stroke years later. And now he's begging all of us to keep in touch with him, saying nobody's calling him on Father's Day and stuff. And I'm like, bummer. You don't say. You don't say.
This is exactly how most African parents are. And I feel like it's not just African parents, even other parents can also be like that. It depends on who you are as an individual, right? But most of the time, African parents, because I know we've talked about, or we've seen people that are going no contact with their parents, and they come out to talk about it and say, I am going no contact with my parents. I've not spoken to my parents for the past 12 years. My parents are this, my mom is this, or my dad is this. As an African person or staying in Africa, if you come out to tell people that you are not in contact with your parents or your mom, let me use mother as an example, like she'll come and say, oh, I'm not talking to my mom, or I've got no contact with my mom because of so thing, people will come for you. People will tell you how ungrateful you are. People will make you see that you're possessed, because how can a child say that she's not going to talk to her mother? That means you're wicked, or they just put all the blame. You don't want to know what the mother did. So most of the time, African parents get away with a lot of things. Whatever they do to you, no matter how much they hurt you, they will always get away with it. And at the end of the day, it's the children people will blame. Because at the end of the day, if anything happens, or probably people know that something was happening, it is you as a child that will blame. It's just like marriage. It's just like marriage. Women are always to be blamed. Whatever wrong thing their husband does, whatever thing their husband did, husband family, they will always blame the woman. They will always blame the wife and say, even though they did this, even though it was this, you as the wife, you should. They always put the blame on the wife. They always tell the wife. It's always the wife they always advise. It's always the wife they always want to talk to. It's always the wife they always want to tell things and all of that. That is exactly how being raised in African parents is. You don't have a say to talk about things. They always come to you as a child, especially when you're a girl, right? They always come to you as a daughter, how bad you are, how disrespectful you are, how you're not even submissive, you're not patient, you're rude, or it's because you started having boyfriend, it's because you're having so many friends, that's why you can actually raise your voice at your parents or something. They just always put the blame on you. At the end of the day, this is the parents that are wrong, but you'll be the one to go back and beg. So going no contact to your parents as an African person It's rare. People do it, but it's actually rare. And most of the time, they do it in like a secret. You don't come out and start saying, "Oh, I'm going to contact with my parent." Da, 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 da. You just say that I'm not talking to my father because I don't want to talk to my father. Most people just, because even when you say it out some certain places, see, you don't talk to your father. They don't want to even ask you, what did your father did? Or what did he do to you? Why would you say you don't want to talk to him? They see it as you don't want to talk to your father. That means you are ungrateful. Your father that took care of you when you were small, took you to school, trained you. Now you don't. Now you are grown. You have money. You don't want to talk to your father. You want to give your father money. You don't. They don't want to hear what he did. All they want you to just forgive. And it's so annoying because most of the time, the things that these people might do to you can haunt you forever, can be in your heart forever. It's something that you will never forget. And to think people always to blame you for whatever happens is so sad. Were you raised by an African parent, or can you relate to any of this experience? Let me know down in the comment section. And also for the mothers that always stay in marriage because of children's sake, I always say this: you're just being selfish. You're just thinking about yourself, not your children. Because at the end of the day, you're hurting your children, and your children will even not even like you anymore because you're putting them in danger. What is your take on today's video? What's your take on this story time? Let me know your thought down in the comment section respectfully. And thank you all so much for tuning in today's video. It's your favorite girl again, Maria Davis. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe. And please turn on the post notification bell to get notified as soon as I upload another interesting video like this one. And of course, I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.